In 2023, Longines had one of the strongest years of releases of any brand. Let's just do the activity out loud and recap. We had the new Zulu Time GMTs at 39mm, the Hydro Conquest GMTs, the flagship Heritage Moonphase models, a 39mm Legend Diver, and the updated Conquest collection. Directing our attention to the last of the bunch mentioned here, the Conquest quickly emerged as arguably one of the most complete and versatile watches on the market for $2,000. But for many enthusiasts, there was one problem, as the sizing options at launch included a 41mm variant and a 34mm option, leaving a 7mm void that sized collectors out. Well, those who asked now shall receive, with Longines releasing the Conquest at 38mm. So one of the most underestimated brands in regards to history is Longines, with roots dating back to 1832 and being a brand responsible for many trailblazing feats such as pocket watch chronographs dating back to 1878 with their 20H caliber, one of the first wrist chronographs ever in 1913 with the 1333Z, and their many feats in time zone functions, including the creation of their Zulu in 1925. Among their storied names sits the Conquest, being first positioned as a dress-oriented watch similar to many pieces of the era in 1954, yet it included some features like a screw-down caseback and crown gasket that laid the framework for the model's future. Now, some of you might remember the popular Conquest of the 2010s, which included a wide range of case diameters, dial colors, complications, automatic variants, or even their VHP quartz pieces. There was a lot to like about these former models, but there also were some peculiar choices when it came to the design and their approach. Their prominent Arabic numerals at 12 and 6, lack of consistency in the use of lume across the models, ultra-aggressive crown and crown guards, and ridiculous water resistance that could go toe-to-toe with most dive watches somewhat thwarted the mass-appealing objective. When Longines discontinued those pieces a year ago in favor of the latest generation, their approach was clear: to refine the design, up the case finish, and improve the proposition mechanically. In many ways, they succeeded, and the reception was strong, as in our subscriber tournament where we asked what is the best watch for $2,000, this watch placed second in the voting despite the limited sizing options. Yet those feelings of having issues with the size possibilities can be put to rest now with the addition of the 38. For a quick rundown on the dimensions beyond the diameter, we have a thickness mirroring the 41s at 11.1 millimeters and a lug-to-lug of 46.7 millimeters. Comparing these measurements against the larger cases presents a dramatically different feel, with a lug-to-lug on those that extended out to 49.1 millimeter. In both the 41 millimeter and the 38 millimeter cases, they wear relatively true to size, if not slightly larger, as a result of the dial taking up a good portion of the real estate. It is also important to address, as I am speaking about the 41s as if they're a thing of the past, they are going to remain as available options for those that have larger wrists. The 38 is just nicely filling in the uninhabited gap left between the previous sizes. It is still not what I would call a small watch, but this size will have the widest overlap with the majority of wrists. As we saw last year, the Conquest case received some serious updates, almost making it unrecognizable from the former DNA. The case is elegantly reshaped with a new crown and crown guard design, enabling 100 meters of water resistance with fortified lugs that bolster the profile without detracting from the dial. Case finishing includes brushed anterior surfaces with a polished bezel and case sides, a combination that continues to the rehauled bracelet. The 19mm bracelet on this watch delivers one of the most dramatic improvements from the former generation, featuring substantially better articulation and breathability from the pin-adjusted links, which pairs with a well-finished presentation of polished rectangular links and brushed H-links. The bracelet tapers down to a 16mm dual-button butterfly clasp that is signed, though includes no points of micro-adjustment apart from the half links. Although the Conquest bracelet delivers a comfortable, distinguished, and attractive approach, the lack of any on-the-fly micro-adjustment and the odd number lug width are two areas that I would call out that might bother some collectors. On top of all the Conquest is a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on both sides, giving us a view of a familiar looking dial lineup. If you recall the dial colors of the 41s, we had a choice of blue, green, black, silver, and brown. All of those colors remain at 38mm apart from the brown, which is now replaced with a sunburst champagne. The dials all have a subtle sunburst effect, which is noticeable yet doesn't come anywhere near bordering on excessive. The dial perimeter has raised applied hour markers at the outermost point, aligned with the printed minute track set just outside the concentrically lined finish ring. The applied winged hourglass logo brand mark at 12 equally opposes the spacious text at 6 o'clock. The faceted indices each include a small helping of luminescent material that pairs with the lume on the high polished hands, enabling some nighttime visibility, but is far from what I would call great in its shine. Compared to the previous generation's polarizing, oversized Arabic indices at 12 and 6, this new dial presents a much cleaner take on the model's concept of blending sporty specifications with refinement. Although design traits such as the dial ring, index shape, and superluminova position are directly looking back to 1950s models, at the time Longines released the 2023 Conquest, the comparisons to luxury leaders in mass appeal flooded in with many mentions of Oyster Perpetuals and Aquaterras, a point that I can definitely see the resemblance of and I think speaks to their non-abrasive, versatile appearance. So if you are liking what you're seeing so far with these watches and you want to see more or maybe purchase them, we are an authorized dealer at teddybaldassarre.com. Any purchase helps support content like this and future productions, as well as every product that we sell coming with a full factory warranty. If you have any questions as well, reach out to one of my team members that will be on live chat pretty much around the clock. Now jumping back, unlike many Longines watches and the conquests of years prior, the models here feature the upgraded L888.5 automatic caliber visible through the sapphire exhibition caseback. Now, by the way, I am going to call these the L888s instead of the L888 since it is a tongue twister to say all those 8s in a row. Now, Longines sits in one of the most favorable positions of any brand in watchmaking, falling at a price range that delivers some of the most compelling movements where diminishing returns can quickly become a part of the value equation. Given the brand's elevated position within the Swatch Group, they get access to exclusive higher grade calibers where ETA produces parts, but T1 through T3 of the assembly process of their watches is done on site at their headquarters, which I have been able to see firsthand. The L888 family of calibers is commonplace within Longines' lineup. However, the .5 marks a higher grade version that greatly contributes to the elevated positioning compared to past Conquest models. The caliber in ETA terminology is classified as the ETA A31.L11A. And it works off the framework of the ETA 2892A2, ETA's slimmer, more upscale version of the 2824. The movement operates at an altered rate of 3.5 Hertz or 25,200 vibrations per hour, a frequency most commonly associated with the Omega coaxial collection of calibers. The large barrel housing the mainspring helps deliver a first-rate power reserve, especially for this price and beat frequency with 72 hours. Being a higher grade version of the L888s, it is equipped with a silicon balance spring, enabling an up magnetic resistance where the caliber's ability to withstand adverse effects of magnetic fields is 10 times greater than what ISO 764 standard calls for. That was a point that I failed to mention last year and a big reason for the up positioning of these watches compared to the former Conquests. The L888.5 caliber is never going to be confused with being this artisanally finished movement. That said, it is attractive compared to most in its price range. The movement showcases perlage finishing on its central bridges, a lined spiral finish along its outer perimeter, and a Côte de Genève pattern across its rotor with a winged hourglass cutout. While not offering a COSC certification, all of these variants we had in kept excellent time within single digits per day when testing across 5 different positions. Just to recap here in terms of the specifications of the caliber, 3.5 Hertz in terms of its frequency, hacking and hand winding, hacking stop in the seconds when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and a 72-hour power reserve. To be the perfect daily companion, your watch needs to be viable in a wide variety of scenarios, both casually and have the ability to be worn formally, ideally having 100 meters of water resistance, while also delivering a design that can successfully be an easy option for, well, the everyday. Now, in each price range, there are pieces that are really gunning for that top spot. For $2,000, Longines established last year that the updated Conquest might deliver the most complete package for that dollar amount, a point backed up by our tournament where you all voted for it to be near the top. It's not without its faults though, as it does lack micro adjustment in its bracelet, so some people might not be able to get the perfect size that they're desiring, and the lume is far from the best that you will come across. But for watches like these, you're looking for a piece that checks off the boxes and can maximize your dollar amount. We can play the game right now. Clean design, check. Optionality with dials, we have 5, including a new dial color, check. Does the movement deliver for its price? We have a 3-day power reserve, up magnetic resistance, and a higher grade finish, leads to another check. Water resistance, 100 meters, although not as extreme as the former generation, this is still way more than adequate, so check. How about brand heritage? Well, I would argue Longines has perhaps the strongest of any brand under $5,000. Check. Watch purchases are guided greatly by the heart and the romantics of it all. But similar to most decisions we need to evaluate in life, a final judgment with the absence of logic is not a winning recipe. Watches also need to make sense for your use case, especially if the goal is to be an everyday wearer. With the example of the Longines Conquest, the watch fulfills on the idea of appealing to both rational decision making and with the romantic aspect of the hobby. Last year, though, there was one check that was left unmarked for many. The category was probably in the wearability department, only having these two different sizes to choose from at 41mm and 34mm. However, now with the release of the 38mm, let's mark off another box, further demonstrating how the Conquest is arguably the most complete everyday watch for its segment in 2024. But all right, guys, that's my take looking at this new Longines Conquest. I remember when covering this watch last year, I think the top comment on the video with the 41mm options being covered was, we want to see a 38, 39mm case, and they finally did it. So this is Longines listening, and I think for a watch for $2,000, this has got to be in the mix for maybe the best watch that you can get, or maybe most complete watch if you go down this checklist of things. I know there's a lot of great brands under this in terms of $2,000, but with the combination of all those points that I mentioned, the brand heritage and brand equity that comes with Longines, I think there's a lot to like with this watch if somebody's just trying to maximize their budget for $2,000. But what do you think of the Longines Conquest? What do you think of maybe that new dial color with the champagne? Leave some comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really do appreciate that as well. Definitely check out TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of 30 brands, including Longines. Quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Really do appreciate it, and I will see you all very soon.